Twitter, meanwhile, loses its collective shit and says, we're going into recession, it's terrible. Scott Bessent told us to. It's not a fucking recession. Don't be ridiculous. Your alts have been nuked.
The proof of bill that we're working on with a number of other legislators and their staff and other groups here in DC is really focused on proving that those assets actually exist.
The sixth highest revenue generating layer one on the planet. So Raoul Pal just gave an update that may point to the exact date that the bull market in altcoins starts. Let's dive right in.
As Trump was clearly going to start winning, the dollar started rallying, and what happens is it slows down global growth. And so the US Economic Surprises Index has been falling in line with this. Twitter, meanwhile, loses its collective shit and says, we're going into recession, it's terrible. Scott Bessent told us to. It's not a fucking recession. It is a weak patch in data driven by financial conditions that tightened last quarter. If you look at it going forwards, on a forwards basis, it's been easing fast. So we will see the economy weak this quarter, and then it will start to strengthen from a weaker base. This is not a recession. Don't be ridiculous.
So what he's saying is that we will see the economy be weak this quarter. This is Q1 2025. And that's what the macro data is pointing to. But now let's look into what may come next.
This is what happened last time Trump got elected in 2017. Exactly the same reaction by financial markets and exactly the same outcome. Economic data weakened. The DXY had strengthened. Then it began to weaken and economic data followed it. And we got a big boom, and we will see very similar.
Okay, so we will see very similar to 2017, meaning we see a bunch of weakness early on in the year, and then we get a massive bull run. And if you've been in crypto for a while, you know exactly how enormous the 2017 bull run was for these altcoins.
And then crypto, here's Bitcoin, 3 month on 3 month, just reflects these financial conditions and the economic surprises. So the economy is weaker, financial conditions were strong in the past, and Bitcoin has already priced in the entire thing. So the damage has been done.
So that's why altcoins have cratered again, because economic conditions are down. So what we're doing is betting on the economy to turn around. It's a very safe bet, but altcoins like ICP, like Chainlink, like TAO, unlike big cap tech stocks, altcoins provide life-changing returns, but it's the exact same bet. If the economy goes up, these assets moon.
The good news is the financial conditions index, which is the dollar, rates, and oil, is rebounding like crazy. Strong conditions lay ahead. The economic surprises index is not finished going down yet. It will go down a bit further. Maybe the Fed will be able to cut in April or May, whatever it is. Maybe they'll be able to sneak in a couple of cuts. Then we're going to rebound, and the back end, the next part of the year is going to be very strong. The worst news is in. My guess, probably up only.
We're betting on the economy. The macro data is saying that the economy is supposed to turn around coming up soon and into year end. So if the economy turns around, Bitcoin, which is very correlated, will turn around, and altcoins, which are correlated to Bitcoin, will absolutely pump. We see that every single time.
Global M2, 10-week lead versus Bitcoin. It's worked perfectly. I didn't expect it to work as perfectly, but it is. But basically, we're turning the corner, and we should start to see higher prices. And the higher prices will come quick, and the higher prices should take us all the way back to the highs pretty soon. Not soon like in a week or two, but soon like in a couple of months.
So right there, he's saying a couple of months, right? Everything's supposed to turn around in a couple of months. That's when global M2 in black is projected to start jumping. And look at Bitcoin in pink, it's expected to start jumping. We're getting closer and closer to the date when the bull market may start.
So I think what you've all had to go through is a boring sideways consolidation pattern with a slight down bias. Your alts have been nuked, but nothing out of the ordinary. We saw this in 2017. We've seen it now, and we are very, very close to the turnaround. So patience is all I keep asking for. Stop being so dramatic. It's funny. It's actually boring. It's like you do not get 150% returns a year from an asset without drawdowns. You will have to get used to this. You have to stop worrying at this point in the cycle. This is the consolidation phase 2. Then we'll get into the much more important banana zone phase 2. It is all coming.
So with that in mind, let's dig deeper into what the data is saying. So we know Bitcoin in orange is correlated to money supply in yellow. And so what this very precise chart is saying is that the turning point for the global money supply, which is extremely correlated to Bitcoin in orange, is April 30, 2025. And that's using the global money supply model that is the most correlated to Bitcoin. And that's expected to blast off on April 30, 2025, right? So this lines up with what Raoul is saying. It lines up with all the correlations we've seen, massive for altcoins. So we're just getting ready for that move, that potentially life-changing move. Obviously, it might not happen. Who knows? The world is very volatile right now. It's a totally different macro setup than what we've seen. We could have a huge crash leading into that. Raoul is saying Bitcoin has already priced in this massive drop in liquidity and economic conditions, which it kind of has. Money supply isn't expected to go much further down. Point is, April 30 is the likely blast off. So let's dive into some assets which very well may provide life-changing returns. Why may they provide life-changing returns? Because they have the best fundamentals in the game. We've been covering Chainlink, ICP, and TAO. There are other assets. If you're interested in other assets or adding those assets to the list, let me know. But for now, let's dive into what's been going on with Chainlink. This is the head of Chainlink, Sergey Nazarov.
The proof of bill that we're working on with a number of other legislators and their staff and other groups here in DC is really focused on proving that the real world assets that are backing a coin, whether it's a stable coin, whether it's a tokenized fund, whatever the coin is about, that those assets actually exist. And that proof about them existing doesn't happen on an annual audit basis, doesn't happen on a monthly report basis in the form of a PDF that, is very unclear. It's not very clear how anything was verified. But it happens on a second by second basis. So it happens in near real time. And beyond happening in near real time, you can drill down into the details of the underlying asset. So you wouldn't just know that it's treasuries. You would know that it's treasuries. You would know that it's 2-year or 5-year or 10-year treasuries. So the proof of bill and our work on proof of across different asset types will really allow for the most reliable assets to come out of the US financial system. And just like the US legislated into existence risk agencies, we think it should legislate into existence this proof of bill to make sure that the financial products generated in the US system are fundamentally better and fundamentally more reliable because they require this high level of proof of information. So this is what we hope the work we're doing now on the proof of bill will help us achieve.
Chainlink is literally working with the United States government to create legislation around how assets will be tokenized, how data will be verified, and how obviously that's all going to run through Chainlink. One of the reasons I'm so bullish on Chainlink is because of how deeply connected Chainlink is with the US government. We've talked about how they've partnered up with Swift. Swift is a network made up of 11,000 banking institutions around the world. They're using Chainlink to tokenize assets. Now, Sergey Nazarov was talking about creating law in the United States that would require assets to provide on-chain proof that they have the information needed for investors. Obviously, Chainlink's proof of reserves is breakthrough technology that's going to empower that. Sergey Nazarov in a suit and tie is in DC working with the most powerful people on the planet to make that happen. Again, Chainlink has secured $20+ trillion in assets. We crossed the $20 trillion barrier. It's climbing. We're talking trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars of assets. We're just getting started. We're on the very ground floor of the tokenization of the world's assets. So why does Chainlink keep getting these massive partnerships with the US government? Here's one reason. Eric Schmidt former Google CEO, joined Chainlink Labs as a strategic advisor in December 2021 to guide its scaling strategy, leveraging his tech expertise. He's a multi-billionaire. His investment fund, America's Frontier Fund, which he supports but does not directly manage, focuses on advancing U.S. tech innovation in areas like AI and blockchain, aligning with national security interests. AFF, backed by Schmidt and other tech leaders, collaborates with former U.S. government officials and aims to direct public and private funds to tech startups, potentially influencing U.S. defense spending and policy through its ties to ex-officials and Schmidt's past roles, such as chairing the National Security Commission on AI. Eric Schmidt is an extremely powerful billionaire. He joined Chainlink Labs. This fund is an investor in Chainlink. That is why Chainlink has such massive partnerships, right? It helps to have Eric Schmidt on your board. So that's why we see Chainlink just making massive moves behind the scenes. Here's another asset likely to benefit if the Raoul Pal scenario of a massive bull run later in the year plays out. Bittensor TAO. Remember, TAO is made up of subnets. As of March 26, 2025, there are now 81 subnets. Each one of these subnets represents a team of some of the smartest people on the planet working to create technology that is worthy of earning the TAO token. A lot of these are earning tens of millions of dollars a year in TAO. This number continues to grow. This number is expected to get into the thousands, and it's on that trajectory. Now, here's an example of how these subnets are doing. Here's daily volume of the subnets, starting from practically zero in February, now over 1 million TAO per day. A lot of money. And the market cap of these assets obviously skyrocketing, meaning more and more and more capital is moving into these subnets. So the space is booming. They're building breakthrough tech on that asset. Remember, it's all about network effects. That's what we need to see in these assets. There's massive network effects for Chainlink, obviously. There's massive network effects for TAO. The more people involved, the more the network grows. That's all Bitcoin is, right? A big growing network. So is TAO, so is Chainlink, so is ICP. Why do we talk about ICP? Because the on-chain fundamentals are phenomenal. They're phenomenally positive, right? All that matters when looking at a layer one blockchain is its on-chain data. Is it generating revenue? Is it growing? Well, to start, we have a betting market prediction. Will ICP be the top layer one blockchain for total developers in 2025? People are putting real money on the line betting on this, that ICP could be the top layer one blockchain for total developers in 2025. Look at where we are. Yes, 76%. No, 24%. Meaning the market believes that it's highly likely ICP will be the most developed project on the planet in 2025. That's why the head of ICP, Dominic Williams, says, I win this bet or eat my hat. The self-writing internet will enable anyone to use AI to build / update fully on-chain sovereign apps on the internet computer. And by the end of 2025, most crypto developers will be ICP developers. The head of ICP believes that to be the case. The market at this point, based on this betting marketplace, believes that ICP will be the top developed asset. Talk about network effects. What about on-chain data? Well, let's compare ICP to other layer one blockchains. On this channel, we talk about the revenue that ICP is generating compared to some DeFi protocols. It might not be generating as much cash as some of the applications in the space, like Uniswap, for example, or Lido Finance. It might not be generating as much cash as some of these applications. But who is it actually competing with? It's competing with layer one blockchain. So let's look at ICP, the fees it's generating compared to all the layer one blockchains out there. This is massive, right? Number one is Tron at $278 million generated in the last month. Number two is Solana, $32 million generated in the last month. Ethereum, $26 million. BNB Chain, $23 million. And then Bitcoin, $17 million. What do all those have in common? They're mega cap assets with market caps in the tens of billions of dollars, right? Massive assets. Look who's up next. The sixth highest revenue generating layer one on the planet is the internet computer, right after Bitcoin and dominating the thousands of other layer ones on the planet. That means it's beating Kronos, Cardano, Polygon, Avalanche, ton. ICP is the sixth highest revenue generating asset in terms of layer ones on the planet. This is absolutely massive. Why is that so massive? Because ICP doesn't have anywhere near the daily active users that Solana has, or even the other blockchains that it's crushing. That is the benefit of having the best technology on the planet and being a world computer, not just a blockchain. You generate way more revenue per user. So it's a robust powerhouse, cash flowing asset. And if you're an investor, the smart money one day will come into the space. You're going to look, where is the money flowing in the blockchain world? It's flowing to the internet computer. At least way more money is flowing to the internet computer compared to the vast majority of its competition. ICP generating 1.5 million in the last 30 days. Its next closest competition is the Ton blockchain, which is generating 700,000. So it's beating its next closest competition by double, right? So of the undiscovered altcoin layer one blockchains, the thousands out there, ICP is in the lead. Not quite beating the mega cap assets out there, but it's on its way. So we're going to have to stay on top of the on-chain data. That's all that matters when evaluating these assets. And so those are three assets that could absolutely moon if Raoul Pal's prediction comes true.